Hi, I'm Deanna. I want to talk to you about the tongue and the significance of this muscle. Most of us don't realize all of the different functions of the tongue, and one of the main functions is actually to hold up the weight of the head. But unfortunately, because we're not conscious of this, we end up not using that muscle, and the head ends up coming forward and blocking the carotid arteries, which is the main artery supplying the head, the thyroid gland, the major lymphatic drainage site. So posture in general is all encompassing. When we fall into our core with our rib cage, that in turn causes the head to come forward. But as we're working to release the rib cage out of the core, we also have to become aware of the alignment of the head. The head, when properly aligned, weighs approximately 8 to 10 pounds. As soon as we fall out of alignment, it can become a 100-pound force of stress on the muscles of the shoulders and the neck and the jaw. So we really want to understand how to exercise this muscle properly so that we can use it to help us support the weight of the head. So Heather's going to help me here in understanding this because it's a little bit tricky because we haven't been conscious of this muscle. So Heather, now at the roof of your mouth, can you feel about a pinky nail distance from the teeth that there's a ridge?
Yes, I feel that.
Okay, so notice how your tongue perfectly fits into that ridge.
It does perfectly fit in there.
Yeah, and usually that's not where the tongue is positioned. Usually it's positioned
A lot more forward.
yes, towards the teeth. And then that, in turn, causes the neck to protrude forward with more force. So what we want to do is we want to learn how to bring the tongue back to actually support the neck and the weight of the head. So I'm going to demonstrate with you an exercise that's going to be really helpful in doing that. So we're going to lie down on our back. And we want to place the block underneath the neck. And use your hands here just to make sure that the block is nice and stable. Now, while you're lying here, what you want to do is you want to imagine that you're moving the tongue toward the block. And then as you do that, push the neck into the block and lift the rib cage up off of the floor. You feel that?
I sure do.
So now what we're doing is we are effectively lengthening the muscles in the back of the neck. Now, as we're doing this work, it's always important to remember to breathe diaphragmatically. Again, when we're breathing properly, we're feeding the body 600% more oxygen. So we're working to create space here. Now we want to inflate that space with proper breathing. So now as you're here, very slowly and consciously, I would like you to move your neck, move your head to the left. And we're just going to search for pain. Look for the restrictions in the area and hang out with that with the breath. And again, imagine that you're moving your tongue back toward the block while we do this. Now, if we're doing this at home, we can do this for a couple of minutes, but for the sake of demonstration, now what we're going to do is we're going to move the head nice and slowly to the right. And again, we're looking for those dense areas of tissue. We want to create space and soften that. So we do that by spending time with that pain and that denseness. And through breathing properly and applying pressure into it, we start to melt that frozen thick tissue, improving blood flow to everything in the head, even including our hair. And then after a minute or two, then we can come back to neutral. So now, Heather, what we're going to do is take the block away. And now we're just going to place our head on the ground. Now, does that feel different?
That feels... I feel like my head is lighter or something.
Yeah, excellent. So now as we're here, I'd like you to just tuck your chin in a little bit. And then, again, imagine that your tongue is now moving toward the floor. And push the back of your head into the floor. And while we're here, again, we're going to make sure that we are accessing that proper diaphragmatic breath. We really want to feed as much life and oxygen into the tissue in the back here. And then you can relax And then let's come back up. Now, how does that feel?
I can actually move my neck a little bit more to the sides than I could before I started.
Wonderful, because what happens over time is as we let the tongue be unconscious and we fall into ourself, the vertebrae, which should be able to rotate without any grinding, this alignment causes the vertebrae to collapse on one side, and then we end up grinding, which can lead to situations like arthritis in the neck. So whenever we're moving the neck around this way, we're causing that grinding action. So when we can integrate the tongue with our proper posture in general and lengthen the back of the neck, then when we're rotating the neck, we're not effectively wearing anything down. So the neck in turn has more range of motion and way less pain. And again, thyroid gland is right here. The major arteries supplying the head are here. Major lymphatic drainage sites are here. So we are effectively keeping that space open so that all of those organs and that tissue can function optimally.